Teaching with Microsoft Teams means using the Microsoft Teams platform for more than just meetings. If you want to think of it as the primary unit being the Teams team, or groups of people that they're calling teams, then we could always build just our own group of people and add our own students. But what we're supposed to do actually is start in Canvas with a new button that will be available before the first day of class. It's not available at the moment I'm making this recording. Hopefully it'll be available by the time you are watching it. Within each Canvas class will be a button for Microsoft Teams, and you click it, follow those on-screen, the login and the windows and so forth that come from it, and then what it will do is create a Teams team, or what we're calling a class team, over inside of Teams, and it will have your roster correct from Canvas, and it will synchronize from there. So students add drop, they will be in the class team as well. You follow all of these prompts, and then the final one will take you into Teams, into your class team, and you have to click at the top to activate the class. If you don't click to activate the class, it's a little bit like never publishing it in Canvas. So once you're in an activated class, then you come over here to the team, you find the class team correctly, and now you can arrange to meet with your students. Of course, we wouldn't meet now. That would mean the students get an email 5 minutes before class. We schedule a meeting, and we can schedule a meeting for right now until the end of December to sort of last, all of those many, many hours. Has the advantage that the chat would always be the same, I guess, but it would sort of show your calendar is totally full if that matters to you. The other option is to select a specific date, like your first day of class. So that would be perhaps the 24th. And we're going to say it does repeat, but it's going to be a custom repeat. And we're going to say that it repeats once a week, but it's going to be Monday and Wednesday. So I click that to select it. And so now this class would occur every Monday and Wednesday starting on the 24th. And I would, select a certain time of day and all that other stuff, which I have not done yet. So what happens then is the students receive that as an email, but we really think the primary way they're going to find it each time is by looking on your Canvas course. So what you really need to do is get a hold of that link after it's been created, and I'll give you an example of that. So here's an example of a meeting that I'm in right now. And if you right-click on this, you can get the copy link, and that's what you want to put into your Canvas course so the students can always find it. Some people are even putting it into individual Canvas calendar events because students use a Canvas calendar a lot. Okay, so let's go into the meeting itself. So I'm here with someone on the telephone, and we are going to imagine that the person is here and that we're going to say something in the conversation. So we say hello to the student, and the student would say hello back. So this is a familiar Teams use that you're used to in terms of meetings. But let's switch from here and talking about presenting. So let's say that you're presenting out of the document camera. Well, the way you present out of the document camera in the room is you switch it to, say, Crestron and document camera, that little device next to the computer, and that's still true. But to show the online students the document camera, we actually don't click the share button. I'm going to show you more about share in a minute. We actually come up here to the triple dots, and then on device settings, we're going to switch whatever my camera is. So the way to think of this is that Teams either wants to see your webcam or it wants to see the document camera. So I'm doing this from home, but at work it would pull this down and it would see Elmo as the option because Elmo is the brand name of our document camera. Okay, you would switch it to say document camera, and then the students on the online students would be able to see the document camera view. Now, what if you want to show not the document camera, but what if you wanted to show the PowerPoint or your desktop or something? So this button up here is to share content. I'm going to actually hide the device settings for a moment. And I have various things that I could share. I could share my desktop. That would be everything that is on my screen they would see, including the cursor moving around. So if I'm doing Excel or a program, that might be the one to do. I could choose specific programs. I could choose PowerPoint specifically. And I have a whiteboard too, but for most of us, using a regular mouse with a whiteboard is not a great option. So I'm going to skip that one and use the document camera most of the time. Now, if you're using a PowerPoint, what we suggest you do is instead of clicking the one that's open, select the Browse button, upload from my computer, find the PowerPoint that you want, and in this case, it's going to say that I've already uploaded it because I have, and yet it wasn't really in that list of ones that were uploaded as far as I could see. So it's a little confusing interface. I found that I've had to just click upload every time, even though it's the same file. If it's not the same file every time, then no problem. It's not going to be a problem to upload it. This is a fairly large file, so it's taking just a moment to load. The reason we're doing it this way, instead of sharing the entire desktop, is we're going to get a much nicer interface this way. What we're going to get is the PowerPoint window on my side will be large, but it won't be the entire thing, because I can also open up the conversation. I can also open the chat with the students. And I could see the students along the bottom. And if a student raises their hand, I would see a notification here, and I could switch over to the participants and see the hand raised. Okay, go back to show conversation. So I would just move my way through my PowerPoint this way, and the students are seeing it large on the screen, but I'm just seeing it as an interface together with the other stuff that lets me sort of teach at the same time that I'm using the PowerPoint. Now, while I'm here, there's one other thing to show you, and that is this little eye icon. Prevent participants from moving it through it on their own. So if I leave it alone, I think that means the students can click ahead, which I don't want that, so I'm going to turn that off. And so now it's the functionality where they're going to see it when I move it forward. Okay, so one of the I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting that. So one of the things that is coming up in the future, it's not there today, but hopefully will be there very soon, perhaps start of classes, will be the ability to do breakouts within Teams meetings. So it would be a function of this meeting. Somewhere up here next to the hand will be a new icon for breakouts, and when we click it, we can tell the system I want 4 groups, and it'll shove all the students into those 4 groups. And there would be a different button to recall them all back to the main screen. Now, we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know entirely what it means. What we think what it means is that the students can create their own meetings within. In other words, they can also have a verbal conversation until they get recalled back to the main conversation. It's like having a second Teams meeting open where one is just paused at the time. Because we don't know yet if those breakout groups would be something you can pre-select or can always have the same groups, I'm also going to cover for you a different functionality, a way of getting persistent groups. And that is actually not in the Teams meeting, but in the main Teams client. So everyone has a Teams team, right? So you go into your Teams team, and what you can do, the triple dots here at your Teams team, is add channel. And I could just say group 1 for this channel name. And I could select either it's standard, it's public, or it's private. And if I select private, then I'm going to have to manually select which students go into that one. So if I just select public and then click add, then I could wait until it shows up here so you can see where it's going to go. It's next to this general. Technically, general is a channel as well. It's the general channel. Now I've got a breakout group channel. I could create another one, and then group 1, 2, 3. And as I said, they're public. Anyone within the team can go into any one of those. And that might be enough. You might just tell your students on Canvas somewhere, you guys are part of group 1, you guys are part of group 2, and then whenever they go into their breakout groups, they go into this area of the Teams team, and then they can click on meet each other. They can meet now, and basically, like I said earlier, have a verbal conversation. They don't have to type it to each other across students. And then the disadvantage here is that it's not simple for the professor to just call everyone back. You probably need to do something like set up a certain timing for people to come back to the regular class. All right, back into the meeting. I'm going to show you something similar to doing clicker questions. So down here in the chat box are some triple dots that used to be clickable, and today they're not. They're kind of broken. But the same chat is visible over on the client side. I select the chat and then go to the meeting that I'm in, and you can see there's that one hello right there. And it also has triple dots. On this side, I'm going to click it, and now I'm going to select polls, except, or I could search for it, except I've already selected polls previously. So on my screen, I don't need to do the triple dots. It's now a button down here that says poll. By the way, there's also one similar called forms that you might want to look into as well, but I'm just going to show you poll. Okay, so when the poll interface loads, I can type up a question. Will it rain today? Yes and no are my options. I could add more, as you see. And I could stop right here and then wait until class begins before sending it, if that's what I want to do, because there's not any other way to sort of stockpile these questions ahead of time. Either I have to type it while the students are in group work, or I type it before class like this and then wait to send it, or I type it while the class is taking an actual break. Let's click send. So both here in this version of the chat, as well as in the meeting itself, in its version of the chat, there is now a poll, and I can submit an answer. I'll click no and submit my vote, and then it'll say that I have responded. Now I try to view the results here, and again, it's broken. I think this is temporary, but for the moment, let's come back to the chat side. Let me see the client side and view the result. and you'll be able to see the total number of who's voted and what what the numbers are. And there's even an ability to download the CSV, an Excel file version of it, and that Excel file version will actually show you who said what. So you could use this for actual quizzes or first day attendance, or even just for engagement. That would be fine too, as long as you're using it for something. I think it's better than just students being there not interacting at all. Now, one of the things that I think we need to note here is that students can also view the result and download it. That's because students, by default, join the meetings as presenters. As presenters, they can view those results and download the results. They can share their screen. They can actually come to the participant side, and they could go to the organizer and mute the organizer. So I'm going to mute this one student right here. They would be able to do that to me because they're presenters as well. And if they started presenting while I was in the middle of presenting something, it would override my presentation. So if this is something you're worried about, what you'd want to do is go back to the calendar event itself in Teams, double click it, and you will see meeting options, which will then load in a different page here. It's actually loading on a different screen. I'll bring that over here and make that a little bit more visible for you. And once it loads, it'll have these options here. Who can bypass the lobby? I usually make that everyone. And then who can present. So I've actually already adjusted this once, but this is what it would have looked like when you first got here. It would say that everyone can present, including the students. And you would change that to say only me, and then click save. And at that point, now the students are just quote unquote attendees rather than presenters. And as attendees, they no longer have the ability to do things like mute me or to share screen without specific permission. So if I go down here, I can remove this participant, or I could go back to the meeting settings and make them presenters if that's what I want to do. Okay, down under the triple dots, last couple of things. You might want to show students that they can turn on live captions, which is a way to show graphically on paper, or I guess on the screen, the words that people are saying. And as you can see, it's reasonably good in terms of interpreting my words and turning them into typewritten text. It can even keep up with me if I speak relatively fast. It does make mistakes over time, and it's not ADA compliant. So this would be something you might ask students if they want to do. Those who are language learners might benefit from it, but not every student needs it, and you don't control it for them. They control it for themselves. Same thing with right-clicking on you, the instructor, and clicking pin, which sort of makes you take over the whole screen. Now, there's not a whole bunch of people here, but usually they're just looking at you in one small tile. But they right-click and select pin. Now they're looking at you in one giant tile. And that's probably what most of them want to do if you're not sharing the screen or sharing a PowerPoint. Final thing, again under the triple dots, you have the ability to record the presentation. And what happens if you record it is it will notify you. Well, you have to also stop recording at the end, or else it goes for 4 hours. It will notify you in the chat after it's done processing. Here's a link. It's up in Microsoft Stream. That's where it lives. Everyone can go look at it. If you, the instructor, want to record it and then download it real quick and then delete it from Stream, the instructor can do that. So that way you have it and can give it to just the few students that you want to have it, but not let every student have it every time. And those are some of the options available to you. That's it for Microsoft Teams. Atlee wishes you good luck. Let us know, atlee@usf.edu, if you've got any questions. Good luck.